As grueling as it might be, you have to learn to love life on the road, especially if you want to make a move in the Summit League. How's everybody doing? I'm Jay Elsen, and this is Coyote Quarter. Well, the stretch run is officially upon us, and if the USD men are going to improve their stock ahead of the Summit League tournament, they're going to have to pick up some wins on the road. The Coyotes, who won just once in their first 11 games away from the Dakota Dome, got two more chances last weekend, with the first coming Thursday night at Fort Wayne. Coyotes looking to complete the season sweep of the Mastodons, but things did not get off to a good start. USD had a tough time getting the offense going, and that allowed Fort Wayne to open up a 12-point halftime lead. Totally different story to start the second. Coyotes got a big spark from the big guys. Tyler Flack with the first of his 2 threes. First time he's hit more than one in a game this season. Flack was good, but Trevor Gruce was even better. First with the left-handed lay-in, then the and one. Gruce scored 10 of his 14 in the second half to help the Coyotes come storming back. And they'd complete the comeback a couple of minutes later. Gruce with a great dish to Adam Thosby. USD went from down 12 at the half to up 4 with 11:21 to play. That's when the Dons woke up. Mo Evans hits back-to-back trays to get him going. He led all scorers with 17. But it was Louis Jacobo that really slammed the door. Throws it down in transition, plus the foul. That put Fort Wayne up 8, and they closed it out from there. The Dons earned the season split 75-69, despite a tremendous second-half effort from the Coyotes. USD hit 19 of 31 shots, scored 49 points in that frame, but the first half hole proved to be a little too much to overcome. From there, it was on to Indianapolis and IUPUI. Jaguars picked up their first conference win over Denver on Thursday, and they didn't look like a 1-9 team. Donovan Gibbs hits from downtown to put IUPUI up 5 early. For USD, Brandon Boss had been struggling of late, so Joey James brought him off the bench for this one, and it might have been the spark he needed. Boss mired a 2 for 19 slump coming in at his first 2 shots of the night, both of them threes, to possibly take a step in the right direction. The Jags' Mitch Patton has not had trouble scoring. 7 straight games in double figures. Make it 8. Patton had a team-high 16, and it's a 2-point game. Coyotes answer with help from both of their big guys. Trevor Gruce finds Tyler Flack for the finish. This game went to the half, tied at 32. For the second straight game, Gruce went to work to start the second. 10 points in the first 8 minutes to put the Coyotes in front. He finished with 18 and becomes the 19th player at USD to surpass 1,300 for his career. Jags wouldn't go away. PJ Hubert with a deep 3 to get him back within 5. But this time, the Coyotes had all the right answers. Gruce was one, Tyler Larson was the other. He scored 11 of his 13 in the second half, and USD gets that road monkey off its back. 71-67 the final. Coyotes matched last year's win total with their 10th victory of the season, but more importantly, they improved to 4-6 in the Summit League. And with Omaha ineligible, that moves USD into the 5th position in the standings, but that, of course, is far from final. USD has 4 games remaining, including dates with Omaha and Western Illinois at the Dakota Dome this weekend. All right, more to come on the Coyotes' much-needed weekend split. Head coach Joey James joins us next. Well, the USD men got that road monkey off their back last weekend with a win at IUPUI on Saturday. And briefly, Joey, let's just start with that. That's got to feel good after some of the struggles you guys have had away from home.
Oh, it feels really good. We finally got it done, and I was really proud of our guys. They fought hard during that game. We got out to a pretty good start. It was a back and forth. It was like watching a tennis match out there. And then at halftime, I believe we were tied. Come out second half, make a nice run, and then I thought at the end of the game, though, we made it a little bit closer than probably what it needed to be. But I tell you, I was really excited to get that win. I know the guys were, and finally we can take that that L out of there, put over in the win column, and just kind of move on.
This came on the heels of a Thursday night game, which probably hurt in a lot of ways. You came out flat at Fort Wayne on Thursday night, struggled just 20 points in that first half. This game was a tale of two halves, though, because you shoot 29%, you turn it over 8 times, down 12 at the break. And then start of the second half, it's like a new team came out of the locker room because you guys went on a really big surge, ended up taking the lead with about 11 minutes to go.
Yeah, went in there and really challenged our guys. You know, I was you know, I'm tired of losing, and I know they are too, especially on the road. I mean, we've been in so many close situations, and I didn't think we played with the energy and the effort that I thought we could play with. And so went in there and really challenged the team, and they came out and responded really well. We went on a huge run, and before you know it, we're up by 4 with 11 minutes to play, 11 and a half to play, right around there. And then all of a sudden, we subbed some guys in there, and they went on a little bit of a spurt. It goes back and forth. It's a very good Fort Wayne team. Obviously, playing on the road, they're a team that's in 3rd place right now that was fighting for 1st place. Again, we just didn't close out the game like we wanted to, but in the second half we did some really nice things in that game. The only disappointing part that I saw is that we held them to 38% shooting, and so our defense was really good, but our offense just got off to a very slow start in that first half, and scoring 20 points, that was probably one of the most disappointing outputs that we've had this year on the offensive end.
On an individual level, Brandon Boss has been struggling from the field of late. That continued Thursday night as he goes 1 of 10 from the floor. As a result, on Saturday, you make a change, and I know you're looking for a spark out of maybe out of him and just something new for the team as you went into that IUPUI game. You moved Tyler Larson into the starting lineup. He got to start in both games, actually, over the weekend. And he responded for you well, so that's good. But talk about Brandon Boss and just what he's been going on. What's been the struggle for him of late?
You know, I'm not sure. I don't know if it's if I'm putting too much pressure on him, or if Brandon's putting too much pressure on himself to perform at a high level. I know teams are starting to key on him more and putting more of their best defender on Brandon, try to shut him out of the game. But he's got to figure out ways to score for us. I think right now he's settling for too many jump shots. Earlier he was mixing up pretty good, hitting pull-ups, getting to the basket, getting to the free throw line. And so we got to get Brandon back to that area.
Well, and you mentioned individually, you know, we talked about Brandon. Last week you talked about Trevor needing to play well. You mentioned it there again. He gave you 2 good games. He was a big part of that run at the start of the second half in Fort Wayne. He had a huge start to the second half again on Saturday in Indianapolis. Maybe he responded to the challenge a little bit.
Yeah, and Trevor, tell you, both halves, I've had to go in that locker room and get on him and challenge him, and because we expect a lot out of Trevor. And you know, second half of both games, he was incredible, and so I'm just trying to get him to do, you know, both halves, the same and be more consistent with it. But he was huge this weekend, and I can't complain about the way he played overall. He was tremendous.
Yeah, you guys bring it home now this weekend. A couple of big games as you kind of try to build some momentum going toward the tournament. Against Omaha on Thursday night, then against Western Illinois on Saturday. We've got both those games live. Good luck to you, and we'll see you back here next week.
Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Joey. Well, I think it's safe to say the Coyote women are back on track. Highlights and reaction from their weekend sweep coming up next. Well, it is hard to know whether Polly Harrington has a favorite Summit League opponent, but Fort Wayne has to be high on her list. Coyote senior forward averaged 19 points in her first 3 career games against the Mastodons, including a career-high 24-point effort in Fort Wayne back on January 18th. Harrington hoping for similar success Thursday night as she and the Coyotes welcome the Dons to the Dakota Dome. Harrington and company looking to avenge an earlier 18-point loss to Fort Wayne. Haley Seibert killed the Coyotes in that first meeting, 35 points, including 7 threes. She had her first one on Thursday as well, but that was it. She ended up 1 for 6 from outside, still scored 19 points. Nicole Seekamp didn't play the first time around, and she made sure the Dons knew she was back. She accounted for 6 of the Yotes' first 8 points with a couple of early trays. From there, USD went to work inside, but it was Margaret McCloud doing most of the damage. Ty Hebiller finds her first, and a couple of trips later, Seekamp with a nice feed as well. McCloud scored 10 of her 14 in the first half to help USD build an 11-point advantage. Fort Wayne needed a pick-me-up, and who better to provide it than the reigning Summit League Player of the Year, Amanda Hyde. Creates a shot and scores. Don's down 7 at the half. But for the second straight game, the Coyotes take control out of the locker room. Seacamp with her third 3 of the night. A team-high 19 in USD is off and running. The Aussie was sharing almost as much as she was scoring in this one. 7 dimes, including that one to Harrington. 3-point play extends the lead to 12. And they kept piling it on with Lisa Loeffler. 44 cleans up her own miss plus the foul. Coyotes started the second half at a 16-0 run, led by as many as 25. They go on to win it by a count of 84-71. 5 players in double figures for USD. Meanwhile, Fort Wayne lives and dies with the 3, and they died on Thursday. Mastodons finished 3 for 27 from outside, including an 0 for 14 mark in the second half.
Constantly striving to put 40 solid minutes together, but we talk a lot about that first 5 minutes of the second half being a very critical time that you can set the tone for the rest of the ball game, and I think our kids have really bought into that.
So we were boxing out, we were getting the rebounds off their missed shots, we were playing personnel how we should, and then we were obviously scoring as well, which helped a lot. So it got us on that 10-0 run and left them scoreless for nearly 6-7 minutes or whatever. So no, it was just, I think, good defense, and if we can play like that for 40 minutes a game, we're going to have good luck for the rest of the game, for the rest of the year. Sorry.
The Coyotes continued their revenge tour Saturday afternoon against first place IUPUI. Jags built an early 8-point lead before the offense derailed. De'Ara Goff scored a career-high 27 in the first meeting, but this was a very different day. Goff managed just 3 field goals in 16 attempts and finished with 9 points. Coyotes weren't exactly lighting it up themselves, but they did just enough early on. Polly Harrington drops the triple to give USD its first lead at 19-18. Out of the timeout, patience pays off for Bridget R, and she finds Margaret McCloud for the deuce. USD shot 36% from the field in the first half, still led by 4 at the break. They'd add to that advantage with another strong second half start. McCloud skips it over to Kelly Stewart. She buries the 3. Stewart had 12 off the bench. Later, it's McCloud that benefits from the assist. Great dish from Seacamp. 14-6 run extends the Coyotes' lead to 12. Jags answer with a little run of their own. They score 11 of the next 14, including that jumper from Dee Bellamy to get back within 4, but it was all Coyotes from that point forward. Rachelle Contreras drives in for 2 of her 16, and a couple of trips later, Taya Heemiller attacks the rim. She had 7. Coyotes outscore the Jags 24-10 over the final 9 minutes and change to pull away for a 74-56 win, their 5th in their last 6 games. Talk about a complete 180 after giving it away 20 times in the loss in Indianapolis on January 16th. Coyotes turned it over a season-low 9 times on Saturday, and none of those came from Taya Heemiller.
We just came out and, we wanted to play hard and compete with them, and we knew they're a very athletic team, and I think we just, now coming to the end, we're just fired up, and we are just, we play as a team, and I guess any team we play, we want to play our hardest.
Fresh off that weekend sweep, the surging Coyotes have moved into a 3rd-place tie with Western Illinois in the Summit League standings. And that makes Saturday's matchup between the 2 in Macomb all the more intriguing. The Leathernecks, remember, took the first meeting 81-71 in Vermilion. After a perfect 3-0 homestand, the Coyotes will now try and stay hot on the road. We'll have more on this weekend's crucial 2-game stretch with head coach Amy Williams next. And welcome back to Coyote Quarter. It was a weekend sweep for the USD women this week. Wins over Fort Wayne and IUPUI. And here to talk more about that is head women's coach Amy Williams. And Amy, these teams both handled you pretty good on the road. Has to feel good to bring them home and get the wins this time around.
Feels so good to be at home. Back in the Dome, we're just more comfortable. We play a lot better in there, and had a great weekend.
And 3-0 overall on the homestand, your longest homestand of the year. And let's get into it a little bit more here, starting with Fort Wayne Thursday night, an 84-71 win. You were up 7 points on them at halftime. It was the start of the second half where you could really feel this one turn in your favor. 16-0 run out of the locker room.
Yeah, we came out in that second half and just put on a little bit of a spurt right there, which was great, and we needed every minute of it, or every piece of it, because we kind of faltered a little bit there down the stretch. We were able to hold on to a good double-figure win, but it was a great run right out of the second half.
This is obviously a high-powered team and a team that's capable of filling it up with the best of them in the league when they're hot. Haley Seibert was a good example of that in Fort Wayne. She hit you for 35 points, hit 7 threes. But she, quieter by her standards, especially of late, 19 points, 1 of 6 from three-point. As a team, they hit 3 of 27, so you had to be pretty pleased to see a lot fewer of those shots going in for them this time around.
Yeah, and I think you know, it's crazy when you celebrate that a kid only had 19 on you, you know, but certainly compared to the 35-point effort she had in Fort Wayne was a great turnaround, and you know, at times I felt like in that ball game that we did a good job defensively and forced some shots that were tough contested shots. At times I felt like they got some pretty open looks that they just didn't knock down, and we kind of were fortunate. But one way or the other, we'll certainly take. We watched 13 threes go in at their place and only 3 here, and that's a big difference in the ball game.
One big difference for you offensively was Nicole Seacap. She didn't play against Fort Wayne the first time around. Not only did she play, she's back in the starting lineup. She gets 19 points for you, and I thought looked a little bit more confident, like maybe some of the mental aspects of that injury are behind her at this point.
She really seems to be getting a little bit more comfortable out there and working back in. That's why, you know, we felt like finally comfortable putting her back in that starting lineup, and I think she's really starting to press on the gas here down the stretch.
5 players in double figures for you overall. Good balance as a team offensively in that one. Then Saturday, IUPUI comes in here, and this is a team that gave you fits defensively last time. They caused a bunch of turnovers, 20 of them as a matter of fact. But this was a very different story. You guys kind of flipped the table on them, forced them into some turnovers, and created some opportunities for yourselves in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think a big key in that ball game is Taya He-Miller. I can't say enough. You know, down there at IUPUI, all of a sudden we see that full court pressure for the first time in quite a while, and I think it had us just a little out of sync and uncharacteristic turnovers. But for her to come back here and play this team, play 32 minutes in that point guard position, get hounded the entire game and not have a single turnover, set the tone for our team, and we really did a great job as a whole of just taking care of the basketball. 5
out of the last 6 you've won after an 0-4 start in the Summit League. The trick now, of course, that means a move up into all the way to a tie for 3rd place in the league standings, which is 4 to play. Carrying that success on the road now, I know that's the next challenge that you face this weekend, going to Omaha and Western Illinois.
Yeah, it is a big challenge for us. I mean, I think a big key for that turnaround is we started with 3 straight road games in conference play, and now to go back on the road here, it'll be a critical week for our team to see if we can't get over that hump.
All right, well, good luck to you, and we'll see you back here next week.
Thanks, Jay.
All right. Well, the Coyotes knew they were getting a good player in Margaret McCloud, but no one, her and her coach included, expected her to be this good, this fast. We'll have more on USD sophomore forward when we come back. We close tonight with another edition of Coyote Corner Athlete of the Week. And this time the spotlight stops at a young woman who's not afraid to allow others to benefit from her work on the court. David Brown joins us now with more on sophomore Margaret McCloud.
Yeah, that's right, Jay. She's only been a Coyote for a year and a half, but McCloud already is playing a vital role for USD. And while she may play the 5, she's comfortable not always being the center of attention. For someone who thought they were going to play volleyball in college, Margaret McCloud still has a knack for getting to the right spot at the right time.
She has a nose for the basketball, and that really makes a difference with rebounding. She finds a way to get around the basketball and has been able to find her play and find her niche with us because of her ability to go get that ball.
She uses the word relentless, which has kind of stuck with me. Just to go get it no matter what, who you have to go through or whatever. And It's a big adrenaline rush for me, I think, just as much as scoring, getting a rebound.
McCloud finished 6th in the conference in rebounding last season and is already averaging more than 5 per game this year. And while she may get more of a thrill from grabbing the ball than putting it in the hoop, her presence down low has led to easier shots and a Summit League leading 59.7 field goal percentage.
I'm trying to be more aggressive, trying to think score first instead of pass first. I tend to be sometimes a little too selfless, I think. When I know I can score, make a move in the post, I probably should, and I oftentimes don't. I usually kick it out, so we're working on me trying to find that aggressive bone.
While the numbers support the fact McCloud should try and shoot more in the post, actually translating that to games is easier said than done. But as someone who's always willing to do what's best for the team, she'll take those suggestions to heart.
We had preseason meetings last year, and Coach Williams looked at me in the eye and said, "What are your expectations for yourself?" And I basically told her that I'm ready to learn a lot, whether that's on the bench or at practice, and she kind of looked at me and said, "You're playing."
We've come to lean on her very heavily already in her first 2 years as a Coyote, and we're expecting big things as she finishes her career.
Right now, Jay, of course, McCloud coming off the bench for Polly Harrington, who's the lone senior on the Coyotes, but McCloud says Harrington's already been dispensing plenty of advice her senior season, so that transition should be smooth next year when McCloud presumably takes over the starting role.
Yeah, and I think that's a definite at this point, barring any kind of injury. She is going to be the woman in the middle for the Coyotes for the next couple of years. All right, thanks a lot, David. McCloud and the Coyotes will be back in action this week against Omaha and Western Illinois. The women will be on the road, while the men will be live in your living room. Greg Steeman joins me for the call of both of those games. Coverage tips off at 7 o'clock on Thursday and 4 o'clock on Saturday. And of course, we'll be back here to break it all down for you next Tuesday night on another edition of Coyote Corner.